Live from Waterford and Dungarvan, this is Waterford at 1 News.
Good afternoon, I'm Eimear McKeown. Today's top stories. The search for a man missing from Tramore continues. For the 9th day in a row, there's just one confirmed case of COVID-19 in University Hospital Waterford. A Waterford TD says the public should have been made aware of changes to cardiac services at UHW. And in sport, golf clubs in Waterford say they're following strict protocols as they reopen today. Gardaí and Coast Guard services are continuing a search for a man reported missing in Tramore late last night. Gardaí were alerted at around 9:30pm that the 39-year-old who was from the Tramore area was missing. Searches are underway in the town and the immediate coastal areas. The Coast Guard helicopter joined in the search last night for a number of hours and will be involved again today. Gardaí say they are concerned for the man's safety and are appealing to the public to contact them on 051 391 620 if they see anything. There's no change in the number of coronavirus cases at University Hospital Waterford. For the 9th day in a row, there's just one confirmed case on site. A further 3 patients are awaiting the results of testing. There are no confirmed or suspected cases in intensive care. There is 2 more confirmed cases of COVID-19 in Waterford, bringing the total since the outbreak began to 146. A Waterford TD says the public should have been made aware of changes to cardiac services at University Hospital Waterford. All cardiac procedures are now taking place at UPMC Whitfield after the mobile cath lab at UHW was removed. The main cath lab relocated to Whitfield in February to facilitate the upgrade of equipment. Sinn Féin TD David Cullinan has spoken to hospital management. He says services are operating as normal at Whitfield.
Services haven't been stopped and hospital management have confirmed to me that they don't have any fears about capacity. There has been no problems. They say that the diagnostic work and indeed the emergencies that needed to be carried out in normal circumstances have been carried out. So they say that the capacity is there. Obviously, it's heartening to hear that the services are being carried out in Whitfield, but I believe that it's important that the public are made aware of any changes, and I think it's regrettable that those changes were brought about and local Oireachtas members and indeed the public were not made aware.
He outlines the reasons why the mobile cath lab was removed.
They're saying that patients wouldn't be coming into the mobile facility due to COVID. So I'm assuming that's for health and safety reasons. So in effect, it wasn't operational now for some time since the COVID restrictions were put in place. And I would imagine that there is a significant cost involved. So it hasn't been in use since February. So every month there is hundreds of thousands of euro of a cost. So I suppose that was the key consideration.
A consultant surgeon at Whitfield Hospital in Waterford says the agreement in which the state took over the facilities of private hospitals should not be extended. The deal with 19 hospitals, including Whitfield, is reported to cost €115 million per month. And overall figures last week showed occupancy levels in private hospitals were 34% and some had no inpatients. Ian Kelly told Damien Tiernan on Daisha today that the deal struck was right at the time, but continuing the contract now when the system has not been overwhelmed makes no sense.
Every doctor, be they a private clinician or a public clinician, would be delighted to put the shoulder to the wheel and help in a crisis situation. But thankfully that crisis has not arisen. So currently there are multiple doctors in Whitfield with no work to do and who are locked out of their hospital because we have not signed the A contract.
A Waterford consultant surgeon who created reusable PPE says 3,000 of his gowns have been made for University Hospital Waterford. Garrett Higgins collaborated with a local dressmaker, Colette McGrath, as well as a sailmaker, Richard Marshall, to create a durable washable gown.
Initially I asked him to make a batch. He said he had a machine that he could cut panels for Colette, so I made a batch of 100 and they were so ideal. I mean, they're light. They're much more robust than the paper gowns that we have, and they feel very protective. So once I had them, I realised that this is absolutely ideal, and they can be re-washed. So the management were very much behind me and very interested. So we managed to get an initial batch of 3,000 made up for the hospital.
He says it makes sense to make what's needed locally.
I think long term for really everything, we're going to have to re-examine these really long supply chains. Even if something's more expensive, if it can be produced locally, it can be scaled up. From literally a health security point of view, I think it is a better idea to have reusable kits and also have short supply lines.
Those who are returning to work this week after claiming the COVID-19 unemployment payment are being urged to close their claim. Thousands of people are heading back to their workplace today as hardware stores and construction sites reopen. 585,000 people are still currently claiming the payment. Government official Elizabeth Canavan has this advice for people returning to work.
Today, as we plan for the start of the first phase of the roadmap, a number of those who currently receive the pandemic unemployment payment income support will be looking forward to returning to work. If you are one of these people, you should close your claim today as you return to work. If you're starting work later in the week, you should close your claim on the day you return to employment.
The leaders of Fine Gael, Fianna Fáil and the Green Party are currently meeting to discuss the progress of government formation talks. Leo Varadkar, Micheál Martin and Eamon Ryan will also attempt to defuse a row over election planning, which erupted over the weekend. Andrew Louth reports.
Fine Gael accused Fianna Fáil of damaging the talks process after they were criticised by Barry Cowan and Thomas Byrne. The row started after it emerged Department of Housing officials were putting plans in place for holding referendums, by-elections and a general election. The Fine Gael statement said that there would be discussions between Leo Varadkar and Micheál Martin about the issue, which are forming part of their talks with the Green Party leader Eamon Ryan today. Despite the row, it's business as usual for the negotiating teams of the three parties, with housing the central point of today's talks.
2 teenage boys are due in court in connection with an alleged sexual assault in Wexford last year. 3 teenage girls reported being sexually assaulted in the borough area of Courttown Harbour in the early hours of July 28th. The suspects are due before Wexford District Court later. Over 1,300 rounds of ammunition have been seized in County Tipperary. A member of the public contacted Gardaí on Saturday after finding a package wrapped in plastic in Bishop's Wood in Dundrum. Over 1,300 bullets were seized and will now be sent for ballistic analysis. Gardaí carried out a full technical exam and searches in the area and believe that the ammunition had been there for some time. No arrests have been made and the investigations are ongoing.
WLR Sport, Ireland's local station of the year.
The chairman of Tramore Golf Club says they're following strict protocols as they reopen today. Recreational golf is one of the first sports to return as part of Phase 1 of the country's COVID-19 exit plan. Dennis Leamy says guidelines have been set out by the government and the Golf Union of Ireland.
We're still in a national health emergency and we're all very conscious of that. So we have a number of volunteers that are going to be what we call COVID coordinators, and they will be monitoring the course and monitoring people coming into the course. People have to book online. Four people come in. There's 14-minute intervals between each 4-ball. Normally that would be 9 to 10 minutes, so there's extra time built into that. We've removed all the rakes from the bunkers, removed anything that anyone can touch. People have been told that if there's any sign of temperature or feeling unwell, that they're not to play. And everyone books well in advance. We have the names. Also, it's only members that can play.
President of West Waterford Golf Club, Pat Murphy, told WLR's Kieran O'Connor that they were delighted to have taken these tentative steps towards some sort of normality.
We have used an awful lot of signage. We've taken in all the seats and all the hard furniture off the place. It's extremely important, Kieran. I think people have to be aware of the very strict protocol that's in place. Grass knew nothing about the coronavirus. You know, Austin and Murray and his crew were absolutely amazing. The weather has been a help to us and we're happy.
Member Eddie Glavin says it's brilliant to be back.
I did a little bit of chipping at home in my garden, enough to have a big garden at home to back, and I did a little bit of chipping, but that's not saying where the golf ball is going to end up today after the tee box, I can tell you. Ringing each other over the last few days, just waiting and feel the buzz, and it's just great to be back here.
Next to soccer, Celtic have been confirmed as the Scottish Premiership champions for a 9th season in a row after the SPFL took the decision to end the season early. An SPFL board meeting was held today and the 12 clubs agreed that it was unfeasible to play the remaining 8 rounds of the season, which was halted due to the coronavirus pandemic. The final placings have been determined by calculating the average points per game played. The decision also means that Hearts have been relegated to the Championship. There has been further calls for Premier League matches to be shown free to air if and when the season resumes. Normally, broadcasters in the UK aren't allowed to use the 3 p.m. slot on Saturday to screen games so as to not damage attendances. That rule may also be cast aside for the rest of the season's matches. Finally, to rugby, Sport Ireland won't be appealing James Cronin's 1 month ban to the Court of Arbitration for Sport. The Munster prop was suspended for what was deemed an unintentional anti-doping violation. WLR asking you to stay at home. Our next bulletin is at 2.